Welcome back, subscribers. Quick little video here, and this is about tariffs. And it's been in the news quite a bit, and I don't think very many people actually see the repercussions of the tariffs, depending upon where the goods are coming from. Most people aren't dealing with international trade. So we have a number of vehicles in our like fleet that are registered to our company, and one of them, it's a 5 Series BMW it's titled in the company, and I do the maintenance on the cars. I've done, you name it, oil changes, like total. I just like working on cars, and I like working on nice cars. I'm a car snob, so Mercedes, BMW, Porsche. So anyway, I'm doing a 100,000 mile service on a 5 Series diesel, and the I was doing the project, and the car, I've played around with cars since I first got my license at 16. It just kind of like ramped up, and then when necessity would come in, instead of like taking it to a dealer or a shop, I'm like, well, I could probably just fix it myself. My perception was always like, I can't break it any worse. All right. So I think I can back a bolt out. I don't think that's too difficult, and then it was diagnosing what the problem was. And typically, excuse me, this is before internet. So you were kind of like forced to have to learn. And then when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of money to just go dump on a car to go have it fixed. So you'd be driving like a used car or whatever. You have to keep it going. So you fix like little minor things as it went. And then sometimes those things got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then whenever I had a business ended up needing, like, I had to have it fixed immediately, and I couldn't wait a week, that type of thing, to keep service going. So I'd be like, well, I'll just fix it. Can we get the parts? Oh, we get them in 2 days. Okay, I'll fix it. It was just, the Raleigh Durham market is very difficult to be able to get stuff done because we're so labor deficient. So at any rate, but so I'm a car snob. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to work, the first time I worked on a Mercedes, we had Mercedes Sprinter vans in our company, and it has a 3-liter diesel engine. And I started working on it, and I knew nothing of diesel engines. Uh, BMW and Mercedes kind of scared me because I heard all these horror stories and everything else, and it's like a mechanic's nightmare and all this shit. So I start working on it. I'm like, holy shit, this is easy. Just something as simple as an oil change, brake pad change, whatever. And yeah, I just like to work with my hands. Like I said, it's very meditative for me. And as I got into it, I like learned the language. It's like a specific language, and they consistently do the same things over and over again. Like, for example, it's just the way the Germans are. You could take, let's say in Porsche is very similar. You could take a gearbox out of a 2013, and it would work in an earlier model, and vice versa. And you could swap parts in between them, and they fit and work. Um, it's not like totally universal, but there's ways that you can get modern technology into the older cars, that type of thing, or vice versa. And so anyway, I'm working on Kate's car. So Kate drives this car, this company car, and 100,000 mile service, and all kinds of stuff: serpentine belt, just fuel filter, air filter, oil change. I had to change, because I changed the serpentine belt. I had to change a bunch of shit. All right. And transmission fluid, filter, bunch of stuff. I had to jack the car up and put it on jack stands to be able to get underneath it, to be able to get to some of the components that are underneath it. And I don't know how it happened, but it slipped off the jack. And the jack ended up going right through and damaging two components. One was a radiator, and another was an air cooler, a charge air cooler that was in there. They're basically just like, they look like, obviously radiator was a radiator, but this one was like basically like a smaller radiator type thing. And anyway, damn, broke the shit out of them. They were still functional, but it looked like the Hulk went in there and just punched them. So have to order parts, order from this one company, and they're not coming. It's been over a month. So finally I was like, all right, I'll just order from this other company. You're like, get to the point. I'm getting to the point. So I ordered from this other company about a week ago, and they're shipping it DHL. It had to come from England because these parts. It's like a very rare car. It's a diesel um, 5 Series, and it's there aren't very many of them in the States. So yeah, it's highly modified, of course. Yeah, like I've got it. Like it's it's a really good car, and real fuel sipper. So parts are going to be here. They're in the area now, and I get this email this morning, and the email says, okay, it's through DHL. We can't deliver them until you pay the tariff, right? And the tariff is like, okay, like how much is the tariff? The tariff and the total cost of these parts was like say $700, somewhere in that range. I think it was like high sixes, six of them. Let's say $700. The tariff was $250 for the parts. So I was like, holy shit. Well, I gotta have parts. The car is dead in the water. I can't drive the car. The car is paid for. It's like, to me, whenever you repair stuff, as long as you can keep repairing it, and you can do the work, it's crazy not to just keep it going. Just repair it, fix it, keep it on the road, because like that same automobile, to replace it, you're looking at like $75,000 car, easy. So for even if it costs me $1,000, I don't really care because I'm only paying it one time and 100,000 miles, and I haven't done anything to that car really, besides just normal maintenance, wear and tear items like brakes and tires, filters and things like that, and fluid changes. But that's it. It's a really good car. It gets 42 miles a gallon. It's a really good car. So anyway, the tariff. It's like what are they doing? They're ruining business internationally. So we already know this is a main plan. It's like, this isn't a bitch video. This is more of okay, this is what you need to look at towards the future. So is that a sustainable thing? Are people going to continue to keep doing that? If you're willing to pay the money and you're in my situation and you can fix it, then it's still worth doing it. But it's going to be more difficult to be able to get these parts goods, shipped over, that it's going to be more difficult, more costly. And they're like, well, hey, you want to keep playing the game? Well, you can pay the price. So I'm all right with paying the price, because I'm the one that's dealing with it. Now, if this went to a dealer or um, a an indie shop or something like that, you're it's going to be a lot. Like if I had this service done, I'm looking at and plus the damage I did, probably $5,000 to $6,000 in that range of work to be done on it. Whereas I'm spending about $1,000 total for parts and things like that. So yeah, so it's anyways thing to think about, and that's going to turn a lot of people away, especially in the now as a consumer. If you can work on the cars and you have the ability to kind of get around, BMW is pretty good because it allows for coding and things like that to happen outside the dealer. They like let people work on their cars, whereas Mercedes Benz, they don't allow that shit to happen unless you have this diagnostic tool that costs $25,000. It's called a Mercedes Benz Star Tool, and that's what $25,000. And I have one, but it's a Chinese knockoff. I think I paid like $800 for it with a computer, so I can get in there and actually do things. Like example, to like change an air filter in a Mercedes Benz, you have to reset the air filter through this tool. You can't just change the air filter; it won't let you do it. So you have to go to the dealer. Like Mercedes Benz has had this lock on their work. They're like, nobody else touches it except for like a certified mechanic, whatever else. But BMW is not like that. They don't do that. So they're a lot more lenient, and the cars are like really good quality cars. And then the X series, I've got an X5 too, and the X5, the X series are all built in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So I think that ultimately there's going to be like a line in the sand where like vehicles that were built, after this line in the sand are going to be like localized parts and things like that are going to be able to be obtained. But if they're vehicles that they don't want moving past this transition, it's going to be very expensive. It's not like they're going to cut it off, but it's just going to be expensive just to kind of keep them going. And that's where they're just going to kind of go away. Whenever we had heard about this, like this reset, and it's going to like completely screw up everything. It's like, it makes it sound like so totalitarian. Well, they do it through through business in that we're just going to raise the price and make it more difficult for you to get these parts and so on and so on and so on. So people that are committed to it and know that it's just a scam, because I'm not going to go out and buy a new car, because I know that, like, with what's out there and the stuff that's breaking, is it's trying to push people towards away from internal combustion engines towards electric, and they're heavily incentivizing it. And we're that's crazy for us, because we have our vehicles are all paid for, so it doesn't really make any sense for me to go out and spend 40, 50, $60,000 on a brand new electric, and then that it doesn't, to go save a few bucks on the actual the charging and the fuel. So it doesn't really make a hell of a lot of sense to us. So I'm just going to run it until it's basically not, just till the wheels fall off. That's the premise. Because and this is all stemmed to the carbon. They want to, like, reduce the amount of carbon that is, at least this is what the scam is, and reduce the amount of carbon. I'm like, well, why, if you could just keep the cars on the road and running, and you had this, like, the German mentality is like, let's build it to last, go through these maintenances, and the car will last 2-3 100,000 miles, and not like it's a throwaway car after 5 years like we have in the United States. Like, this is something that is a sustainable. It's sustainable, because you're talking about a 5,000 pound carbon brick, basically, the car. So it's like, you're gonna recycle all that. Why don't you just keep it going? Just spend the money and just do. But they don't do that here. It's just a constant, like, change out, switch parts, make it so that it's if you have a problem in the transmission, it could be something that's really small, and they'll change the whole transmission out. Whereas in Germany, they just go in there and just repair the part that's broken. It's just the mentality here. It's just, in the US, is just, it's such a waste. Everything about it's such a waste. And the people are the population is just they've been duped, into believing that the stuff that actually is worthy and will last, that people don't educate themselves and they don't keep things going, because you're to have car payments and go dump all this money into cars is just crazy. I haven't had a car payment like 10 years. Once I got to the point where I could actually, I was able to uh, get past making payments and then have, like, a sustainable amount of income that I could put aside, that I could just go out and basically pay cash for a car. Once I got to that point, I'm like, well, I'll just keep working on them, keep them on. And I have a whole bunch. I've got, a number of commercial vehicles. I've got a number of private vehicles. So if one goes down, the registration, things like that. That's the other thing in our state, is if one goes down, then I have something else to drive. Yeah, the registration in North Carolina, the older the car gets, the registration prices, value goes down. So that's another, like, kind of cost savings. And then the insurance, as long as somebody doesn't total the car. Now, if someone totals the car, you're screwed, because they won't really give you anything for it, because they're like, this car's 10 years old, and it's not worth anything, because they're basically valuing it out. And that's also another scam of this kind of changeover that's happening to push people into newer technology, electrics and things like that, because the insurance companies are all into it too. So is it really a conspiracy? And it's like, the requirements through the business give an illusion of a conspiracy, but there isn't really a talk like, hey, we need everybody to move towards this new thing. Raise your prices, insurance companies, and we're going to put these tariffs in over here, and we're going to do. No, it's such a multifaceted destruction plan that it's like this pissing match that happens. Okay, you're going to do this. Okay, well, we have to raise prices for that. And right? So insurance companies with the electrics, that's another good one. If they just get, like, a minor infraction, I know this because I've talked to some people about this, that that the insurance companies don't want to fix it, because they don't know. It's like an endless check, because once it gets in the electrical system of one of these electric cars, it could just be like a tail light that's broken or something like that, and they'll total the whole vehicle out. So once this started happening, and the insurance companies started getting, were left holding the bag on these repairs, they're like, well, we'll just total it out, and we're going to make the premiums higher on the electrics, because they're more costly to repair. So the insurance is higher. So you might be saving money. Again, it's a shell game. You're going to save money on fuel. You're helping the environment and the carbon. But if some shithead runs into you, it totals a car. It's just a little minor fender bender. It'll total the car. I kid you not. There was a Rivian that was like a $80,000 truck, and it was sideswiped. It was just like body damage, and they're like, yeah, I was at the. I just know about this because I had a vehicle. I was hit by somebody, so I had to have one of my cars repaired. And this is a couple of years ago, and and I was out in the parking lot talking to one of the guys, not one of the techs, but one of the guys in the office, and he had said, he's like, yeah, he said, we're talking about the insurance companies, and he's like, yeah, they totaled this car, this Rivian out, and I was like, am I missing something? He's like, no, he said that it, and he told me the story. He's like, yeah, uh, they don't want to fix them. So people that are buying these electrics think that they're going to be like this, whatever their motivation is, saving the planet. That it's, I don't pay money for fuel, right? And the insurance companies, the premiums are so high because if it just gets, just a minor infraction, they're going to like kill you on premiums. So one way around that would be you'd have to buy the car. If you buy the car and then you just get, liability insurance, when you put it on someone else, then it's somebody else's insurance to pay. As long as you're a safe driver, you could do this. This is what I do with a lot of my cars, is that we just get like the bare minimum insurance, pay for the car. And then once it gets to a certain point of depreciation, um, we just get rid of it. And then my insurance provider's always like, yeah, you should really cover your cars, and be like, no, like that's assuming that I'm going to be the one that causes the wreck. And I'm like, I'm not 17-year-old guy driving a car around like an idiot. So I was like, we should be fine. Somebody else runs into me, their insurance pays for me. That's fine. So anyway, there's lots of workarounds and things like that you have to be kind of looking at, and they're constantly they're changing it, but they're kind of forcing everyone. Industry's forcing people away from essentially like privatized transportation, and it's going to be more and more difficult. That when I drive around and see a lot of people's car like driveways just full of cars, and it's common in the area that we live that you'll see, it'd be no $150,000-$200,000 worth of cars, you know, just sitting, not being used. And that's a waste of money. So people ultimately are going to start saying like, I'm paying all this money for insurance and fuel and and it just sits there. Like, that's stupid. Be like, it's not a collector's item. You're not going to go out and buy a, you know, uh, whatever the latest greatest Toyota, and it's going to be like a collector's item. Like you're going to be driving and it's going to be so nostalgic to drive that. Like, no, 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 no. We're going to restore a Camry. Like, no, it's not going to happen. In fact, there's like none of that. Like I just, like I said, picked up this car in California, and it's a replica of a 1958 Porsche Speedster hardtop 356, and it's like super bright red. It's a really cool car, and the color of the car, you don't see this color at all anywhere, because why? The insurance companies they do white, silver, black, just standard colors. Now primer grays are terrible, but the reason is because the insurance companies they have to fix these cars, and they're like, hey, can you guys stop giving them these color choices, because we can't blend in the paint, make it a paint that we can actually work with and something that's easy. And that's why the cheap cars that's why everything is all vanilla out there. It's shit. So there's no individuality. In the 70s, there was just all kinds of color all over the place. So it's kind of sad to see. So anyway, I drive this car around and it's like super bright. Everybody's like, whoa, whoa. It's like a Ferrari red. It's like really, really, really bright. And it really stands out. And yeah, it's just sad to see it, and it's all because it's all pushed by business and making things more efficient and easier for these corporations, and ultimately the consumers are the ones that end up like taking it on the chin. But again, there's ways that you can work around that to make it so that you can still live a prosperous experience as a human. So I'm going to cut this off now, but yeah, $250 tariff on, that's like, what is that percentage? Like 30% of the value of the order about. So that's kind of high. So it's going to keep pinching everybody, and so the time whenever this essentially like break point is going to happen, when everything basically the kind of shit hits the fan moment is going to be between from the data that we're getting is anywhere from like 2028 to 2029, and it's going to be kind of a finished thing. We're like going to be in a totally different economic world situation by 2030 is what the finish date is, but it's probably going to be fully functional by 2028 to 2029, somewhere in that range. So that means right now is when the actual like turbulence is going to happen. So that is the finish. So that is the solution is there. So the beginning, the start point is going to be before 2028. So we're not quite midway through 2026. It's April. So we're looking at somewhere between now and we're anticipating it happening around this fall, because they always like to do this sacrifice ritual bullshit in the markets because of harvest in the fall. Okay. So, 9/11, I think 9/11 is Rosh Hashanah this year. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on right at that moment. And so we're looking at that being some kind of a market hemorrhage or a revaluation or some kind of like a basic shock to the system that identifies like, okay, everybody, the party's over. The fat lady just sang, we're going to move into this new digital economy, and it's going to be a huge money grab. And the people that are managing and know of this are positioning themselves to be able to come out ahead on the other backside, because it's like 100% digital, 100% tracked. If you want to be making money inside of this space, you have to be compliant. You have to be, following the rules and all this other shit. And so we're not selling out, but we're positioning ourselves for our companies to be uh, inside of that space, so that we can, continue to keep flourishing and educating as we go. And that's what the reservoir is all about. Cheers.